Hello, everybody. Welcome to your world or mine. Show me yours and I'll show you mine. And as you know, I'm from another planet and I'm visiting Earth here for the first time. And today we have Marius here all the way from Romania. Welcome, Marius.
Hello.
And I'm really fascinated, Marius, because I would like you to tell me a little bit about your world. What is going on in your world currently?
Oh, yes. So you are a complete stranger and you could not see very much from the high and you're curious to know how it is here to live here.
Yes.
Ah, uh, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's what we call the human life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the it could be very nice if you have a good person around you. And opposite, of course, if it all depends by the nature and the spirit of the people you have around.
Mm. So what you're saying then, it's important to surround yourself with people who's got a good spirit.
Yes,
Mm. And so you have a choice to do that. Is that so?
naturally, yes.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part of the human life, that you always have choices.
Oh, that's beautiful. But from what we see from our perspective, so from where we look at, we see a lot of intolerance, like human beings fighting with each other, disagreeing with each other. And for us, disagreement is not bad. For us, it's wonderful. We don't all want to be the same. But we see all this intolerance. What is causing it, in your view?
There are many causes. Uh, People could be very focused on themselves, egocentrics, and that could lead to this kind of behavior. Uh, there could be causes related to the family or the social group we are part of, and the so-called tradition of those families and social groups. We are generally looking towards those kind of people, and they are bad. We know that. You have no reason to argue with this. And it's a slow process to understand and to learn they are not so bad. And finally, you could be friends with them, or so. Uh, that that could be a good reason for someone to hate another. And could be also the personal experience. If you had a bad experience with some people, you could then generalize and think that all that kind of people are the same. So, for example, Romanians are in this tricky situation, to say so, um, because they have people generally have a bad perception about that.
Oh. I visited Turkey, I saw and Romania, by the way, on my journey here on your beautiful planet. And I love both. And what you're saying to now is really interesting for me because you're speaking about, you used the word bad. And from where we look at, if we can only change our words to think about other people differently, they simply differently than us. They're not good or bad. They're just different than us. Then a lot of that intolerance will disappear.
It's a nice northern story talking about four kind of people. Perhaps if you will watch a movie called Ender's Game, you will find some of those good ideas there. There are people from the next village which are different from you, but not aliens, say so, and could be good. Those people. There are also people from another village also near from you, not aliens, but they are bad. And also we have the same situation with aliens like you, good or bad themselves too. Ramani, Marius. So it's a very simple taxonomy. It's a very simple way to put boxes for people, because humans generally like boxes, especially men, because it's much more simple to think, I mean, to have an order in your perception of the world. If you have boxes, you just know those are white, those are black, and everything is okay. You don't have to make any more effort to rationalize, to feel, to be empathetic. So it's good in a way, it's bad in another, because finally every person is different. So they not necessarily fit in a box.
And the other thing that now when you share that about the boxes, I'm so glad you're bringing it up. And also in this game, on my planet, we also have that book. We also have movies about it. We actually have a series of those books. And the fascinating part about that I quickly want to share for us is that when those books were written, and I'm taking now in Earth years, it was long, long ago. And at the time, people didn't buy those books. They didn't understand it. They didn't know what this man was talking about when he shared this beautiful story. Just excuse me, I just have a little bit of one of your viruses that I picked up here on your Earth. And I'll tell you about that. And
people die in America when we go there.
But the interesting, and you talk about these boxes and these villages, it's fascinating because for us, if you're living in such a box, you might feel comfortable, but you don't grow, you don't expand, because there's no place for something else, because it's just this little box. And for us, the adventure and the real fun is to explore, to see what's out there. But we're still ourselves. It's not that we deny who we are. We just kind of explore something different, and then we decide, okay, some of that I want to take into my life, but some of that no. And sometimes it takes us a long time. It can take us a year for us to realize, but I don't want that. That's not nice. And using your words, that's bad for me personally, not for the rest of the world, but for me personally. And sometimes in what we perceive is that people then feel pain and things like that. But for us, if you just can, it's for example, I'm looking at you now in this direction. So I have no idea what's behind me or on the sides of me, because my focus is on here. And we perceive that much of your world is like that today now, like as well, because of technology, because of mobile phones, computers. Your focus is just here in front of you. You don't look up at all into the sky or really around you. Your body is really stuck in one way. So all those things together, the box in the mind, the body that's stuck in that pose, that position, brings it even more into your experience. So that when something else then comes into your experience, it might feel like a threat because you don't feel safe anymore. So is that true? Is our perception of that, could that be a possibility that's happening currently on Earth? That even with all this beautiful technology, people are still, it's easy for them to get stuck in such a position.
In my view, it is a bit different. It's not that they only look to one thing, but they look at many things. It's the TV, the virtual reality, and everything that we have now. It's helping that, and therefore our mind could not focus very well. It's the opposite what you say in my view, because with the lack of this focus, we practically are not able to see the important things in our lives. There are so many thoughts that cross our minds. It's like trains in the stations, and they whistle from time to time, and it's very bad for us, because if you really want to be efficient and rational and open-minded, you have to make this constant effort to self-control you, to self-control your thoughts and your views, and to review from time to time, daily, possible, everything that you thought, everything that that come and go from this extraordinary tool we have, the mind. And unfortunately, our educational systems and our traditions and so on, with very, very few exceptions, told us to do that, to be a person connected to the world, but do not explain us very well how to improve finally ourselves, and how to improve the way we control our thoughts, our ideas, our future finally. And so I see it. Back in time, when people don't have so many information to bombard them every day, they just look the fire eventually and see the movements from the fire. But they have a very calm and relaxed life from this point of view, a better one, I would say, and better in the sense that their life were much more fulfilled, more plenty. So that's it. So
That's, you know, you mentioned two things that I'm really interested in now. You mentioned back in time. And this time thing for us on my planet is a very interesting thing, because we don't see time as a stuck thing. So for example, we play with what we call the time guardian, or the time wizard, whatever you want to call this being, this entity, this phenomena. Doesn't matter what concept you give to it, but it's still the same energy. So for us with time, it's a construct of our minds that we can actually operate. And it comes back to your focus part as well, that you can't focus. So time is a container that you can see how you spend your day, for example, and your night. So to simplify things for yourself, and then humans connected it to the sun coming up and down, which is beautiful. But in our experience from our visits on Earth here now, is that most humans think time is a stuck thing, and they can't work with it. And they have all sorts of interesting ways of looking at it. Time costs you money and all such things. Now for us, time is something very different. It's a friend, it's a companion, and it really works. We share this with some humans on Earth, and we actually challenge them when we invite them to try it out, that when you need more time, like I needed more time this morning before we met like this. So I was asking the time guardian, please stretch time for me. I need a little extra time, and I got it in a very interesting way. And if I really need to finish something, so I really want to get it done, I can ask time to contract, and it will. So maybe I simply am sharing something with someone, and I really want them to make a decision on it. So not that I'm imposing my will on them, but I'm simply asking time guardian, please can you expedite this process? I'm a bit impatient now. And if it's for the highest good of all, obviously, not my ego part, my egotistical part, time guardian will play with. So it's extraordinary how, when you spoke about those who came at a time long ago, we were sitting at the fire, they were more calm, relaxed. And for us, that relationship happens also when you start working together with time, and not see it as this monster, like you're sitting in traffic and there's always cars, you're late for a meeting. That's happened with us too. We also have those things on our planet. But then you sit in the car and you ask time, I need you to stretch now. And suddenly the road opens up for you. Oh, magical. Which brings me to something very interesting. A little birdie told me from Earth that you're quite an interesting man because you have developed apparently a new way of doing research. Is that correct?
Those birds.
They talk.
They talk too much sometimes. Okay, about time I will start with that. People know now that matter and time are somehow related. Matter and space are related. They appear one with the other. And of course, how you already said, it is about our perception, because everything around us is related to our perception. The world exists finally because we perceive it for ourselves. Otherwise, the world could and continue to exist, of course, but our world exists because we perceive it. And it exists in a unique way for us. My world is perceived in some colors and sounds and feels, and yours a bit different perhaps. So the same thing with the time. You see, people invented all kinds of machines and stuff to ease their lives. We have washing machines, we have cars, we have telephones and such things, which initially were thought to make our life better, because we could travel from one point to another with a car much more faster than we had done that long time ago. But instead of relaxing and tranquilizing our life, those machines make them put us in an incredible rush, and therefore we lack now the pleasure, the pleasure of life finally, because all this rush make us forget how to live normally, properly in the end. So this is a big part of what the bird told you.
Oh, really? Ah, so it's connected to the birds, what the bird told me. That's wonderful. I love this bird.
So finally, this understanding of the world around us, how they are related. Generally, we have to, I believe, that we have to see the world around us in this relation with ourselves. So we have the nature, which could, in a certain way. We have the human society, which also have relations. We have relations with the society, and we have those results, to say so, or transformation that we create, like those machines that we talked before, which are another part of the. It's a result from the interaction between nature and the humans, finally. So all those somehow with different relations are in contact with us and influence our lives, our personal life, because the point of view has to be personal always. We could make generalization for a group or country or I don't know, but the important view in all this story should be the person.
You know, you mentioned something very interesting, and we are really fascinated by that too. You talk about relation to, and there's two ways that we specifically on our planet, where we really bring in relation in a different way perhaps than humans do. It's just something that we learn from people like Ender, by the way, is it's connected to the perceptions, because if we look at what's currently happening, what we've been shared with, what's happening on Earth in terms of power, I hear it often that people speak about a small group holds all the power. But it's again people's perspective on power. What is power? Because for me, power could be something very different from my neighbor. It's the generalization you spoke about earlier as well. You used that word of a concept that people has taken on and adopted and adapted to as something. Now, for us, power is something very different. Start with power. Power for us is my relation to something. My relation to be in harmony with whatever is around me. And harmony doesn't mean we're the same. Harmony is created through different things coming together and creating a harmonious rhythm, for example, like we see it clearly in music, but also in nature. In nature, everything coexists in harmony. The trees don't attack the flowers. Between species, yes, they eat each other, but that's how it's part of life. It's how they live on. But it's not that the one attacked the other one for selfish reasons. So it's the relation between all these different parts of ecology, and then we can bring it, like you say, to the personal part of the human. So when we on our planet speak about power, for example, I'm in my power. That doesn't mean I want to rule 1,000 people, and they must not jump up and down when I tell them something to do, or a boss telling somebody what to do. For us, that's not the power we speak about when we speak about personal power. For us, it's my relation to the highest expression of what I can be at this moment in time, and how I express myself, how I relate to other people, how I treat them, how I relate to creatures, nature, and I'm not just abusing it and take more and more for myself, that I start living more consciously. That for us is personal power as well. And then there's the other part, to be in a harmonious relation to everything around you, because then you will not abuse it. You will not use too much. You will not treat each other badly, because they can treat you back badly. It's something that returns to you in our view. So for us, simply things like that, like perspective, that it's connected to relation, because for us, it seems like on Earth that a big part of this phenomena happening with people not having relationships, real relationships with nature, for example, or with the other beings, is that the way it's been introduced to them as a child. So as a child, currently, people say the beautiful parts of technology and all those beautiful things in television. But for example, if I have this birdie, now let's use this beautiful birdie that was sitting on my shoulder. And I have a lot of them outside here. They come to a bird bath where I feed them. So they come and entertain me every morning. And the sun is coming up that way. So it's just beautiful seeing the sun through them. So my relation with them is very different than if I did learn from them in a book or saw them on an application on the internet or something. Because it's just a 1D visual from them. It's not a three-dimensional experience even, that I have contact with it. I can touch it, I can feel what it feels like, I can see where it comes to eat, for example, so I see its patterns. I see how it behaves when the other birds come, so chase them away or allow them to eat with. So for us, that's a relation, but it's experiential. It's not, it's just shown to you as a child, this is a cat, this is a bird. So there's no relation there because it's simply a concept. It's not really alive. Which now brings me to back to our birdie story and you. And now this birdie told me that you're talking about this relation between environment, society, and what's the other one? Nature. What's the other one? Nature.
Nature and humans, yes.
Yeah. So when you speak about research, I'm curious, because on my planet, we have a different way of looking at the research from what our understanding is on Earth. We don't really have a word like research. Because if we take the English word research, means again, and search. So we're looking again, to really simplify.
Very nice.
by that by itself is awesome. Looking again. And I know one of your great artists said some times ago, who lived a few centuries ago, he was saying that the longer you look at something, the more you will see. And even Einstein said that he was not so brilliant, he just sat with an issue for longer. And now at least you're rushing thing with time, funnily enough. But why mentioning this? Now I've even gone off track myself here with Einstein. That's so funny. But what did I want to get to here with you? Because it's quite important, I think, that this must come out. This relation between environment, human, and nature started it off. And then, oh, the research thing. That's right. See, now I'm also researching. I have to research. This is a very practical way. I have to research where I was. So the way we look at traditional research on Earth is that, and you must correct me if I'm wrong, is that somebody gets an idea. Something comes to them, like an idea, perception, revelation, insight, whatever you want to call it. And now they want to go and explore, like Einstein did, and all those great scientists, and other beautiful philosophers and human beings, not just normal human beings without a label. And came up with something and then explored it. But for us, our perception of that is you've got 8 billion people on the planet, and then you have a small group of people that you test this thing on to see if it's relevant. And then it's considered as science, that it's proven, that it works. But for us, that's type of quite ridiculous, because there's 8 billion of you on Earth. And if 500 people respond to this thing well, doesn't mean all 8 billion is going to, or that's the only way. Because for us, it comes to the only way thing. That is then perceived as the only way. But there's infinite other ways as well, with something else perhaps. But now that's then decided on as the truth. So what do we do differently? Instead of criticizing poor Earth and humans now for that, it's not about that at all. Maybe just sharing what we prefer to look, how we prefer to look at it, is the experience happens before it's evaluated. So if you look at research, it seems like you've got the idea, now you check, is it happening with people to see, am I correct? Is it really, can it work? But for us, we trust this insight that came to us. And it's through that experience that it's then validated, not through putting a group of other people through it. It's for me going through it myself. So if we like 10 billion people on our planet, 10 billion people have the opportunity to go through that experience and decide for themselves, not based on what somebody else said.
I will start with the talk about power and why the people are so addicted to have power. It's, let's call it ignorance. We perceive the surrounding world, okay? And because we are not aware of who we are exactly, we have the tendency to believe or to associate ourselves with exterior things, possessions and properties. So that could be material properties, land, house, car, and such, or intellectual properties like thoughts, theories, novels, or movies, and so on. And slowly, because we do that, we tend to forget who we are, not be ourselves anymore, and we represent ourselves by the properties or those representation of ourselves. Of course, when we enter in this realm, we will try to have more and more properties, more and more representation, so our ego could be much more well represented. the story of Achilles, a great warrior of the humans. He was in the search of kind of immortality. He wanted to be remembered from the end of time. And when he went to the war, he had those two choices. One, to go to the war, die, and become a hero for the whole humanity forever. Or the second one, to stay home, get married, have children and nephews and so on, but be forgotten in 3, 4, 5 generations. He chose to be the hero of man and to die. It's the proof of how far humans could go to achieve this knowledge. It's an illusion, I believe, that they will live forever through those extension properties they believe they have. Now, regarding the research and the relation between nature and humans in the research, it's very, very nice that you have made this distinction, unification of the world. Yes, indeed, because we basically, when we are born, we have everything, and we basically have to know everything because it's in ourselves. But as I told you before, we have this tendency to look outward, to see things that we have to search inside ourselves. And therefore, we have to spend a lot of time on the efforts and everything to find out things that could be very well found in ourselves, looking in a kind of mirror for ourselves. Those energy that drive on us to look outwards could be very well used to improve finally ourselves, and I'm sure that our life will be better if we do that. But and more harmonious, say so, because okay, there are laws of the nature, to say so. Like the physics, you traveling from one planet to another, certainly know the laws of gravity and everything in physics. Okay, so those laws are natural. They happen basically in every universe, and is in this world too. Looking to that and to the human society, for example, we could say that at a certain point, those needs of individuals which look outwards, not inwards, and seek for much and much more and more properties, power, and so on, representation, will eventually lead to what we call social tension or pressure. So, until the society, the group of those individuals would reach the boiling point, to say so. And they change the state of garden matter. Till then, they were until then liquid, to say so, but they could become gas, steam, and their manifestation could be completely different. So could wars or revolutions or other social phenomena, which are generally very violent and bad. So the problem, finally, for humans in the relation with themselves will be this, that they will have to understand that a better life, much more fulfilled life for themselves is, in the end, to point the attention to themselves, not outside. And then we have a problem with the relation of those social systems with other systems, which is nature or those transformations they do in nature. And if initially human societies or groups had a natural, balanced relation with the nature, I mean, 10,000 years before human wandering on the globe, on the world, and they just live like every other being, not making harm to the world and entering in the landscape of the world. Now, because they express themselves outwards and want to have more and more, and all this tension accumulating and so on, they become to change dramatically the nature, and the relation with the nature changed even as constant. I mean, they want to possess the nature, because possessing, as I said before, is the constitution of immortality, and the greatest achievement they could have in their lives. So, possessing the nature is a thing that has bad results for all of us. We see that every day. There are changes in the nature that some of them are beyond the no returning point. So it will be a problem for us in the future. One more session regarding the research. You see, in the human tradition, philosophers generally think that research should be done by humans with the tools they have. I mean, eyes, tactile senses, smell, and so on. And eventually, rationality, logic. You mentioned Einstein, and therefore the discussion goes to scientists, those few people, generally located in Great Britain, because the scientists from Great Britain told us everything that's around us. It's a joke, of course. And scientists agreed that we could know the surrounding reality through experiment and not directly. So if we have a tool that told us that an electron or particle go with that state at this property of that one, we could rely on this tool and believe that it's true. That's a big difference between scientists and normal humans, to say so. According to the tools, of course, but the trust they give to the tools and the experiences is famous. The experience with the cat of Rodinger, which we could know that is or not according to our predetermined action. We will see that if the cat exists only if we check, to say so. Strange, and it's not very logical.
Thank you for that. I'm sensing into that as you were speaking, and it suddenly bounced back to my flu virus that I now contracted here on your earth. Because on my planet, we have an interesting way to look at diseases. For us, it's a dis-ease. It's an imbalance. Our relation to ourselves, like we are having too much stress, we try to do too many things, then the body slows us down and say, stop, take a pause, rest. For example, I'm simplifying it now, but it works for us. And we also speak to our bodies. So we have a very interesting relationships with our bodies. So I was already here on your earth last week, and I was between people physically who had flu, like really severe flu. And I would speak what I was doing when I was doing on my planet. On my planet, I would speak to my body and say, this is not a house for a virus. So virus, I would instruct the virus to leave and don't come to me. And it wouldn't. So I was very healthy for 5 days after I've been with these people. And then during the night somewhere, my body decided, and myself, that maybe I want to experience what it feels like when you have flu. So then I woke up and suddenly I have this strange experience of sneezing and my nose running. So then I had to go look at what happened now, with turn it back onto myself. What happened to my relationship with my body first, to myself, and my relation to other people, my relation to nature. Have I been enough in nature? Which I haven't. I was too long in just one place. So there was no movement of energy, because I've had all these interesting discussions with humans on Earth. So my relation to nature is, there was a little bit of distance because I'm used to go to nature every day on my planet. And suddenly I had this disconnect. And now it's showing my body. But from us, it's very interesting that when people now have these things like viruses, what they call term viruses, is that they take so many chemicals, things, external things, to now treat this beautiful body. And for us, that's only in severe cases that we will, when you really now have a big dis-ease, that you will go that way. But just to go to the doctor, because somebody would say, just you have to go to the doctor, you're sneezing. What for? But I realize now with my own experience through this, and I think it links beautifully what you shared about the environment, society, and the human being, is that I now, it feels for me as a release process. My body is releasing something. I shouldn't fight what's happening with my body now, try to stop it with some external thing. And just really see what this experience is about, and whatever needs to be released to allow it to go. And then to go to nature and go and sit on the grass, go and hug the tree, and just sit there looking at the sky and feel openness. So I'm very lucky you are. At the moment, there's this beautiful park on the other side, and I'm overlooking it when I'm sitting here talking like you, with you so beautifully. So immediately that calls me and says to me, but you come into balance if you just reinstate our relationship as well. You feel much better. Now we know human beings have been gifted with all this beautiful, through research as well, medications and other substances to help them to get better. But for us, that's a thin line, you know, like, where do you draw the line now? Somebody just pumped it, they don't feel good. Instead of doing something that will really make them feel better, they sort of, now we go back to power again, they just give their power away to something else, like a substance, chemical substance, whatever it might be. That's what's very interesting, and we know everybody's just learning, like we don't know the perfect recipe of how to live, and that it's actually what life is about, is this experience. But it's fascinating for us that so much money and resources is then spent on such things, you know, like all these pharmaceutical products, instead of looking at this balance thing with, and this relation with ourselves and with everything else around us, and that we don't take too much, that we take what we need. We don't need to go and lack at all. That's not what we're saying. So what is your experience about that like on Earth?
We have a nice joke on the flu, you know. If you go to the doctor, it will cure in a week. If you will not, it will cure in 7 days. So
that's funny.
It's true what you said. There's a huge industry and commerce with drugs and such things, and not only for the health purposes, but you know, that comes from the fear. The fear to die eventually, and the fear to be sick, and the fear to do not exist eventually. And as I told you before, with those of presentation in properties and such, we also have that fear, which is very, very deep in us, to die. We're afraid to die. because no matter our philosophy, to mean to end the game. We're not very sure what's next, what will be after that. So we want to prolong as much as possible this game. Therefore, we agree to pay whatever it costs to make it possible. And actually, all this industry and this trade is based on the fear, and that fear of humans. Now, what you said before about balancing the body, that's very correct. That's the way of the person which could analyze, and look inwards, take care of himself, and so on. The other one, those with the drugs, it's much more easy. Another aspect, because I said it's not only drugs related to health, but also to drugs, like alcohol and everything, is also related by the fear, because taking that you could eventually forget and have no more the tension of that fear pressuring you. You are transposed in another world, in another dimension, wherever you want to be, and you forget about those problems, and everything could be fine for a while. More or less, the situation is the same with the medications and the drugs, and people eventually become addicted to it because they could guarantee in certain limits the well-being of the person and the pain and the control of the fear. Getting back to the balance, of course, we are a manifestation of matter and energy and substances and so on, which are connected with the nature and have to be connected because we come from there. And we could find those balance in nature. We could find it in ourselves, of course. But as I said before, it is harder. How should I tell you? It's not hard. It's hard because we are taught, we are educated in a certain manner. In the end, we come back to ourselves. Our true nature is a process, not very easy. It takes some will to do it. It takes some time too, but it's possible and it's very natural. So the problem is that we are not taught to do that. We are taught the contrary, to consume, to cover our needs as soon as possible. The things which generally are commercial, generating more consuming. So basically, that's the problem with the flu.
Thank you for that. Yeah, you're saying so beautifully. It's because it's people also, in our view, have not learned to think creatively and to think independently moreover. So whatever everybody else is doing, they're just doing themselves. They don't take time to now turn the camera back onto themselves to say, what's currently wrong, what's happening in here, whether it's emotion, thought, doesn't matter what it is.
Not very pleasant to say so, but react as a bird.
Yes. Yeah. And it all comes back again to time and fear. And when you spoke about the fear, I found it fascinating because for us, there's something that we see now with our visit here on Earth that creates a lot of fear, is this thing called the future. And people are, and that relates to your whole thing about the death, like they're going to die. That fear of dying, the fear of I won't have enough food tomorrow, so I must now gather, and consume, and save, and yeah, and just deplete whatever is around me because of that fear. But for us, when you just take a moment to actually realize that what is happening in this moment, now with me inside, my relation with you as we have this beautiful discussion, and then externally what's happening out of my environment. You just take a moment to see that actually everything is happening now. We cannot change the past, but we can influence what's going to happen tomorrow by simply living presently in the now. Yeah. So why do I need to fear tomorrow? If I do what I need to do now, in the best way I can, and enjoy it most of all without depleting everything around me, without having harmonious relationships with other creatures and nature and other beings and the whole world, why do I have to have this fear of the future? So for us, even that concept, the future already by itself, creates fear because you want them to gather more and more things to make you feel safe. Because you don't want to die, like you said, you're so afraid of dying because you don't know what's happening afterwards. You're not really sure what's going to happen after that. So for us, it's just to come into the moment. So when those type of fears come, is to take a deep breath, come back to yourself, feel your body, in this moment, isn't that what matters most? And then to do the things that makes you feel good, be with the people, like you said, the good people that you feel good with, surround yourself with them. So if there's one message that you would like to leave for the ones who came more recently, we don't even like to speak about the younger ones, but the one who came more recently, what would that be?
A message.
Yeah, like wisdom, a message, something that they can, I don't want to call it advice. I simply want to say something that you feel could be of value to them at this moment in time. Because it's very different growing up now than growing up when we did.
Well, the message is to try to control, self-control themselves. Through that, they will be much more efficient in whatever they do. To see the future as an opportunity and not a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And this opportunity could be fulfilled, by examining themselves much more and more often. And this could lead them to the liberation from those, eventually, from those fears and obsession of representing themselves from possession in the world, and become to be themselves as they are, who they are. That's it.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Marius. And everybody, this is a very wise man. He's very humble. And we would like to invite you to, his contact details will be at the end of this podcast. There's so much, this research thing that this birdie was telling me about, you have to just explore that with him, this relation between nature, the environment, and human beings, society. You need to really, and these natural laws that he was talking about, he's got such a body of wisdom behind that. In terms of us just living every day at our best that we can. And the way he was sharing with you now about self-control, we call it self-regulation. Just a different word for it, but it's the same thing. And that helps us also not to need to go into deep, such painful experiences, because we look at something immediately and we start to take control of our own lives, and we're not expecting other people to take control, to provide for us. We have all of this. It's a gift to us in whatever way you want to look at it. It's a gift, and to share whatever that is with the world that makes you happy, that you're interested in, and surround yourself with good people that you feel good with, that makes you feel good, that you make feel good too. That's also important. It's a mutual thing. It's not a one-way thing. And you have to just be present to the moment. And like Marius so beautifully said, the future is an opportunity. It's not a threat. You don't have to start like one of these little small animals of your planet, which just gathers all the nuts for the rest of the winter. And while you're gathering all that, you don't live. There's no time to really live and to really enjoy the beautiful relations. So thank you very much, Marius, for joining us today. Some last words for you for the young ones, the ones who came more recently, or for everybody, just a goodbye.
Yes, sure, of course. It was a nice talk we had today, and I'm not very well aware how many children or how many elders will see that, but I hope they will enjoy it. Eventually, we could continue to talk about those things. And the most important is, after all, not to talk, but to do, and that will fulfill the opportunities from our futures. Thank you very much.
So much. Thank you, Marius. Thank you, everybody. We see you soon. Goodbye.